Should a transgender boy be allowed as part of the Boy Scouts? Welcome to another Tomorrow's World Webcast. My name is Wallace Smith, and December 30th, 2016, the New York Times reported on a situation in New Jersey that I would like to bring to your attention. The title was Cub Scouts Kick Out Transgender Boy in New Jersey. It's an article by Daniel Victor. And we've talked about this kind of topic before, so this is sort of a sequel, if you will. Let me just start in the article. It says, in 2013, the Boy Scouts of America ended its ban on openly gay youths participating in its activities. 2 years later, 2015, the organization ended its ban on openly gay adult leaders. Now, let me highlight, we have talked about this. Through the magic of video editing, we can make available here on the screen a scene of our 2015 podcast, our webcast, Captain America versus the Boy Scouts, where we talked about these very changes, where the Boy Scouts had a position they had taken forever, and yet they changed due to social pressure, not really a change in terms of what's right and wrong. So I encourage you, after you watch this one, go back or click on it now and take a look at that webcast, Captain America versus the Boy Scouts. Well, let me continue in this article. Now, after an 8-year-old in Secaucus, New Jersey, was kicked out of his Cub Scout pack about a month after joining, scouting leaders are confronted with the decision to extend the welcome to transgender boys. Kind of like we mentioned in that previous video, once these forces are in motion, they want complete capitulation. They want complete surrender. These cultural forces don't want a holdout of any of these traditionally moral stands, and so it just keeps on coming. They actually quote the boy in the next paragraph, and I'd like to read the quote, but I'm not going to use the child's name. The New York Times does, and apparently it's public knowledge. Just personally, I don't feel comfortable with that. So I'm just going to read the paragraph, but I am going to skip the boy's name. I said the boy, because I'm going to read the words actually from the New York Times, but as you read it, it's confusing because this is a girl we're talking about. Keep that in mind. This is a girl who believes that she's a boy. All right, here's the paragraph. It made me mad, the boy told The Record, a New Jersey newspaper. I had a sad face, but I wasn't crying. I'm way more angry than sad. My identity is a boy. If I was them, I would let every person in the world go in. It's right to do. Now let me highlight, this is an 8-year-old girl. I am not going to be upset about this 8-year-old girl not having a proper foundation of rationality and logic, and to understand that it doesn't make any sense to say that it's the Boy Scouts of America and yet we should let every person in the world in. That is just an irrationality there. I'm not going to hold an 8-year-old, I'm not going to hold a lack of logic or rationality against an 8-year-old. But the adults in this circumstance, absolutely. There has to be some kind of accountability concerning the confusion in circumstances like this. And it belongs in our society. They quote Zach Wallace. He's co-founder of the organization Scouts for Equality that's been pressing to make the Boy Scouts inclusive of homosexuals and such. And they quote him as saying the following: the Boy Scouts just spent several years trying to make right a decades-old policy that discriminated against gay people. The last thing they should be doing in this moment is creating a new discriminatory policy that is out of touch in the 21st century. Let me point out, that's false. That's not true. The Boy Scouts of America, it doesn't make sense to say this is some kind of new discriminatory policy. The Boy Scouts have, since their beginning, apparently, been about having boys in the organization. It's not new to tell a girl, you can't be a part of the Boy Scouts. Go join an organization that focuses on developing girls. But why is this even possible to be considered some sort of new policy? Because our culture is in confusion. Frankly, a confusion the Boy Scouts contributed to in their own small way in 2013 and 2015. Our culture is upending everything, it seems, that is normal and right and used to be clearly understood. What I'm reminded of is a scripture in the book of Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 5, that prophesies, as far as I'm concerned, of a time just like this. In verse 20, God says through the prophet, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." That is exactly what we're doing in our society. We're taking opposites And because we don't want the morality that God has given us, we're switching those opposites around. Now, bitter instead of sweet, sweet instead of bitter. We're calling light darkness and darkness light. We're calling confusion rationality, and we're turning what should be rational into some kind of confusion. Prophecy speaks to this day now, and we see it in stories like this. I hope you'll go back and check our webcast, Captain America versus the Boy Scouts. Thank you for watching. Please check out everything we have available at tomorrowsworld.org.